This week, it's party time. How do I know? Because I'm going to be making a party cake, or in medical terms, a Madeira sponge cake. But I'm not going to be making it following any recipe. No, I am going to guess from my taste test of this what the ingredients are. And afterwards, I'm going to try and make a cake. Let's try this thing then. Here are the ingredients here. I won't even be looking at these. As we can see, the decoration is quite beautiful. There's an indent of stars here and 3 balloons and some stars. Looks like if the cake continued down here, I like to think there was a dead clown who'd been murdered or something, and his balloons were floating off almost into the heavens, along with his soul maybe. It's so beautiful that I almost don't want to cut into it. And I suppose this is the way that mothers feel about their newly born children. Let's go. They've all got to die sometime. Let's have a look inside then. We've got icing, don't know how to make that. Sponge, don't know how to make that. Jam, some sort of creamy cream, and on the bottom it's just sponge. On the bake-off thing, you're supposed to do that, aren't you, to test how good the bake is. Right, let's try it then. Jam, cream. It's the age-old question that many philosophers have pondered over. What is in a sponge? Eggs. Is it flour, self-raising flour? Butter. I like to think of butter as just hard milk, really, isn't it? Some sort of yeast. Maybe if I don't wash my hands, there'll be some sort of yeast on them, and that will permeate through. And to make some icing and some decoration, I'll need some food colouring, sugar, icing sugar. It's got to be icing sugar, isn't it? Go heavy on eggs and self-raising flour. Anything that looks like it's supposed to be in a cake, buy it. If in doubt, always get milk. Salted or unsalted? It must be unsalted. First of all, always wash your hands before indulging in, well, not just cooking, anything. I think it's just always a good principle to keep your hands washed, because, you know, if you saw some places that mine have been, you wear gloves from birth. Done. 2, my dad said to me, Marek, always wear protection. I think he was talking about this. Apron up, boys and girls. It's the only way to stay safe in these, you know, very dark times. You never know what can happen when you're making a cake. Right, let's get cake in then. They always say, I remember from Blue Peter, oven gas mark 5. It's just something that's said, so that must be the thing to do. That goes on. I've got no idea where to start. I think it's something to do with egg whites, isn't it? I remember vaguely hitting the egg and then just using the egg white. I'm just going to do it again now, just because I fancy doing that. 2, and you don't use this bit. If anything, it's just a sign of my how dexterous I am. Get rid of that bit of shell. Flick any excess off into the bowl. It must just be flour. Put it in. Why not just whisk it while it goes in? Who knows why? I do not know. That's too dry. They need it, don't they need it? I don't even think this whisking thing is the right thing to do. I think you need the butter. Eggs, flour, butter. Maybe chop this into pieces so it's easier to access the caking system. Flour the... I'm flouring the base plate here. This cannot be right. It needs to be more liquid. And where does liquid come from? Everyone knows it's milk. Full fat milk to or is it water? I forgot. I forgot that the main source of liquid is tap water. Why don't you do some tap water? Slowly pour in 1 wine glass of water to the butter, egg white and flour solution. 1 sip's worth has changed the consistency immeasurably. Oh God, this is not. If in doubt, just add some more flour. This is not going to be edible, is it? It's not going to be edible. Another sip. I'm worried that that's not going to be enough to fill the tin. I mean, it does not look edible. I mean, they do this for hours in the thing, don't they? They do this for hours to get the air into it. If I'm honest, I'm feeling a bit disheartened, and I feel a little bit ashamed of myself. My mum's going to be very embarrassed that she raised me and this is what I've done. But I'm taking some of the butter. I'm sorry, I'm going to use excuse fingers. Just butter it so it doesn't stick. In goes the cake mixture. That looks like there's not much there. They do a thing where you're supposed to leave it in cling film for a bit to let I don't even know, I just remember seeing it on the bake-off bit where they put it on cling film over it and let it breathe or something, or let it rest. I've got no idea what I've done. No one has hands like this on these cooking programs when they finish doing something ever, do they? It's worrying when it's very difficult to get the mixture off your hands. Just do your best to clean it off the sides because that's going to burn. I'm going to put some cling film over the top. The only reason I've done that is I can remember someone doing it on television once. Okay, so I've left that for 5 minutes because I can't be bothered to do anything else. It's party time, which means time to get the cake out. That definitely hasn't worked. Let's just put it in for a bit longer and pray that some miracle is going to take place. I mean, I don't think it's going to go brown. It's sort of gone hard. Let's just say that's done for the sake of this stupid thing. I'm now going to release my cake from the cake tin. That's not going to be thick enough to cut in half, so I might just have to fold it and do half a cake and pretend it's a small party. So rather than a party cake, call it just a gathering or a soiree cake or something like that. Dip the icing sugar into the bowl and gradually beat in enough water to give a smooth icing, thick enough to coat the back of a spoon. Use immediately. You're supposed to sieve it, but I can't see the dip. Okay, gradually do that. I've clearly not put anywhere near enough icing sugar in there. It's just rubbish. I'm just going to start again. How hard can it be? It says on the packet. Sift the icing sugar into a bowl and gradually beat enough water to give... Okay, where's the sifter? 38 years. And I thought I would have picked up enough to make a better cake than I've made, but apparently not. No. Pretty tedious, turns out, sifting. And I put too much in again! Put too much in. Now for the third time, it turns out I don't think you need much water at all. Does it say that on the packet? Sugar manufacturers want you to go through this process of wasting thousands of pounds worth of icing sugar. Sifting again, still as tedious as last time. Now a tiny bit of water. That's all I'm going to put in. Happy now? That looks a lot more like icing. Quick, use immediately. I will slice the cake in half to make half a cake. I'm going to put some jam on for flavouring. Use as much jam as possible to hide the atrocities. A lot of people in civil world wars actually use jam to hide atrocities as well, so it's something that baking and war have in common. And I'll make the half cake like that. Now it's not looking so bad after all, is it, Marek? Quick, strike while the icing's hot. Right, that's all done, and for a final touch we need to put those lovely balloons on. The icing flavouring bar mitzvah, that is called. And a bit of that in there. One balloon floating off into the sunset. We can make this an orange type balloon, this one here. Just here, floating into the sunset. There were some star details as well on the earlier cake. I can just etch those into the icing here. I'm just going to tidy up, leave the icing to set on there, and we'll be back in just a few seconds of your time with the final analysis. Well, I won't lie to you, I feel a bit depressed after this whole experience. Let's try it. I mean, I don't really need to cut into it because I've only made half of it. I mean, when you do it like that, it doesn't look as bad. It's very, very dry. I didn't put any buttercream in it, so that is a disadvantage for me. And also, without the icing and jam, it's probably savoury. I didn't put any sugar in, which was a very big oversight when I'm dealing with a sweet dish. But saying that, it is quite Moorish. It's more like a scone. I'll try this again. You might think this is a biased ending, but the verdict of which one wins, originally on looks, is this one. But it's difficult to believe, but this monstrosity is actually much nicer. Like the Elephant Man and most people, this tastes like a scone. You go out on a date with this one, but you marry this one. Can you do that with cakes? I don't know. Half scone, half cake. Skake. The great mistake. Well, what have we learnt from today's cake or skake making fiasco? 1, cake is a sweet item, so put sugar in it. 2, all that kneading stuff, it was me getting confused with bread apparently, so you don't need to do that. 3, the cling film thing was also something I saw on television. It looked like it was good, but it's totally irrelevant. 4, icing sugar, only a tiny little bit of water in there. It doesn't say that on the packet because they want you to use loads so they can make lots of money out of some children in Africa or something. And 5, most importantly, always keep a lot of jam at home because you can put jam on anything and it makes anything taste nicer. Happy cooking! If you want to have a look at my attempt to make lasagna, which was also an interesting exercise, why not click on the link up here somewhere?